Hey everyone, it's Jordan. For this module, I'm going to evaluate two different pieces that we use here in my classroom for science. So the first one here is a PowerPoint presentation. Now, the way that I have it set up is I actually have it set up through Google Slides, and then I have it embedded right into our learning platform, Schoology, that the students can then access on their iPads. And we use this as a substitute to a text. So the students don't have to worry about carrying a textbook around, and they have access to everything that they'll need all the time just simply on their iPad. So what I did is I just cut a small portion of this and put it into PowerPoint so we could see just the different things. But again, the whole notebook set up the same general idea. So the first thing here, as we're evaluating, we're supposed to look at outline view. So here would be the outline view of the slides. And, again, the students can be looking at this and just quickly reading through the different things that these slides will contain. And the titles are bolded, so students can see the different slide titles and what's going to be on them, along with the text that goes along with it. In terms of the slide layout, we try to keep it simple for the students, as well as adding some things just to kind of make it feel more like their textbook. So over here you'll notice we have the different tabs, and these tabs, the links, the students can actually click right on these tabs when they're using it on Schoology, and it'll take them right to the first page of that particular section. Or they just have the ability to scroll through the slides until they get to the current page that they need to be on. So again, we try to keep the text and the pictures and everything pretty simple for the students to use. A couple of other things here. So just images. Again, we try to include both text and images as they're going through their notebook. So that way they have a general idea of what they're reading, as well as pictures to go along with it. Links, you'll notice on each of the slides that I cut here, we do use a lot of links. All these links are live, they work. They take the students right to where they need to be. And actually, when I evaluate the second piece here of this, it's going to be a Google Doc. I'll use one of the links here to show that it does, in fact, take the students to where they need to be. Color, I talked about already. We have the tabs over on the right-hand side. Each of the mini units within our weather unit, we have separated into a color. So you can see the first one is pink for clouds. But again, we didn't just associate pink with clouds. We also have text in the headings as well. So that way the students, if they're having color barriers or color issues, they don't just have to associate the pink with the clouds. It also has the text in there as well. And then finally, video and audio, which again I already mentioned with our live links. So some of these videos that we use from the links, the students just click on the link, it takes them right to the video. If I go all the way down here to the bottom, sometimes we just embed the video right into the presentation, so all the student has to do is click right on the video, and it'll start playing for them. So we have both setups and opportunities here for the students to use. So overall, as I was evaluating this, this presentation I feel works really well. As long as we're face-to-face in the classroom, or if I have synchronous learning going on online. But in terms of asynchronous, this is really the part that was eye-opening to me, especially as, we move towards a different shift and more students are choosing the online option where it's not necessarily a synchronous classroom, but asynchronous work. I could see how there are some things where, especially if a student was asynchronous, it might be a little challenging. So if I just use this link, for example, so if I open this video, it takes us to the video that they're watching on Discovery Ed. But you'll notice that when the students do get to Discovery Ed, they do have to log in first before they're able to watch the video. Not that this is a difficult process, and we use Clever here in my room. So if you're familiar with that, it's basically a house for all of the different apps and instant login. So all the student would have to do is click on Login and then log in through their email account, and then it'll take them right to the video. Again, not a hard process, but at the same time, if this was an asynchronous student who, again, wasn't familiar with working with Clever or wasn't familiar with doing this process, we're just adding extra clicks. So again, that could be a little bit of a challenge if they didn't have direct teacher instruction. So that's one thing, I need to go back and look at and set up in a way that the students can just avoid that extra click and just take them right to the video. So that was one of the things that stuck out to me. In terms of when we're evaluating this, could students do it on their own asynchronously? The next piece I wanted to evaluate then is a Google Doc that we use for our weather unit, and it's going to be the study guide. So again, we have that linked for the students right in the Google Slides that are embedded to Schoology. So all they would have to do is click on that and open it. So I'll go ahead and open up the study guide that we use. So evaluating this study guide, first thing here, headings. So each one of the headings is numbered, and the headings will talk about exactly what the student could be seeing in that portion of the study guide. We do have some images right onto the study guide, and I do have alternative text set up so the student is able to hear what the image is showing if they struggle with seeing it. In terms of the organization, it is set up in a list here. Again, 1 going down through the bottom of the study guide to 7, so the student can just follow that in order. And again, each of the listed objects here and materials is organized all together. So everything they would need to be studying or reviewing is right together all at the same time. Images as well. I already talked about I do have alternative text set up for each of these images. So again, for example, here the weather tools. These 5 tools here, I have the word, I have the picture, and then alternative text describing the picture as well. The students do have the ability on their iPads, if needed, to have the text read to them. So again, if they're reading through the study guide and reading is something that they struggle with, which for a lot of the students that I work with, reading science text is a little bit of a struggle for them. It can be read to them out loud so they can hear it read. So overall, I feel like that this guide works well for our students, again, in a face-to-face or a synchronous, online atmosphere. But again, I want to go back to the asynchronous piece again here, which again, this might be a little bit of a struggle for students as well. Just accessing this and getting it set up in an asynchronous type learning environment. So, even if I had given them directions on what to do and how to access it, it still just might be a challenge at first until they're used to just the whole format. The other thing I wanted to draw attention here from the reading in Chapter 8 here was just the universal design for learning. So, again, something else that stuck out to me as I'm evaluating these different tools that we use, is it accessible for all students with all different types of learning, strengths, learning weaknesses, just different things that they excel at or struggle with. And just a couple of things, that I wanted to touch on from here. So the first one here from the reading, providing multiple means of representation. So again, I feel like we did an overall pretty good job of that. So I do have text, I do have video, I do have audio. Trying just to incorporate different ways that the students are seeing things presented or hearing things presented. The second thing, from the reading is, do we have multiple means of letting our students express their understanding? Okay, which I do feel like overall this does. So I'll go back to the PowerPoint. That's more of an example here than the study guide would be. So again, after students have either listened to it or read or watched or whatever they're able to do, we have different ways of then allowing them to prove that they're understanding it. So I might have them respond to a text just through writing, or in the past I've also had them, respond to a text through adding a video, or sometimes we might have different things that we're doing, and I might do like a multiple choice right on Schoology that applies with it, but I'll eliminate some choices, or I will have them do like a matching sort instead. So again, just alternative ways for students to be able to prove that they are understanding what we're doing, and just different ways for them to express that understanding. And then the third thing here that stuck out from the reading, again, continuing on that same table, is just providing multiple means of engagement. So just realizing that, students are motivated and engaged in different ways, and taking the content that we're giving to them and just, allowing the students to be engaged in different ways, which again, I feel like overall this does a good job. So some of this, I will do whole groups. So for example, I'll just look at this first slide here on clouds. So I'll go over the different types of clouds all together, whole group, And, I'll look at this worksheet together, talking about, the different cloud families, all together, whole group. But then, we have videos and links and different things put into the notebook itself that students are able to listen to and just kind of be engaged through the audio version of this. So again, even if there's some students that, really are not audio learners in terms of, hearing it from me, they're still able to hear it on their own, just listening, watching the short video clips that we have here right on the slide. So, overall, again, this unit was really eye-opening to me. And I feel like a lot of us in the education world are probably in the same boat where, a lot of our classrooms are set up to be successful for those students that are face-to-face, or if we are doing like a synchronous style online classroom, but not necessarily conducive to those that would be in an asynchronous setting. So that's really what I was challenged by, through this evaluation. Just looking at, if my students, for whatever reason, had to move to an asynchronous model, could they still be successful? So definitely some things I have set up well, definitely some things I need to go back and just reevaluate and take a new look at here after, the readings from this week, and just some new perspective for providing them with the best education possible.